Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. I have some experience with these steps out of this big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. With a loving God, a sponsor, have made amends, and I try to practice all these principles in all my daily affairs, sometimes a lot better than other times. Depends upon my willingness and the mental illness that the alcoholic suffers from. Thank you, Susan, for asking me to speak. It's always a pleasure and an honor to speak up here. But like any alcoholic, I suffer from the mental part of the disease, which is I'm worried about. I have fear. I want to sound good. I want the selfishness. All right, and really what it's about is it's about carrying the message to the next sick and suffering alcoholic. So, this is an open meeting. So if you're not an alcoholic, you're still welcomed here. All are welcomed. But it's talking in our group conscience, and the purpose behind AA is for the alcoholic to carry the message to the next alcoholic. Well, how do you know that I'm an alcoholic? Well, I told you I'm an alcoholic. I introduced myself as one. It's plain and simple. I didn't introduce myself as gratefully sober. I didn't introduce myself as a person in recovery. I did none of that. It's very, very clear. Alcoholic means I suffer from a threefold disease: physical, mental, and spiritual. The most difficult part is the mental part of the disease, which blocks me off from the solution. It will do it each and every time. We read about that in the doctor's opinion all the way through. Now, my sex conduct, now about sex. Mental illness carries through there. See, because fear, the mind of an alcoholic. All right, so what do I want? I want a relationship, so I think. Right? And what's the truth? What is it that I really want? It's talking in here that, that I got to go through and find out what's wrong with my thinking, what are my motives. Plain and simple, And as I did the writing, this is the last part, and it talks about, we talk about sex ideal, and it's asking me some questions, who did I hurt? Where am I selfish? Where am I selfish? What do I want? All right, dishonesty, the lies, manipulation, why do I justifiably, and I can come up with 9 million ways of rationalizing and justifying stuff in my mind, all right, as to why I'm not at fault. And I assign blame to others. Well, I get involved in a relationship, it starts out, you may be married, you may not be married, you may just be dating somebody else, all right? But I'm really not concerned about that, right? I'm concerned about Chris. So you ask, we meet in a bar or something like that or wherever, and what do? Right out of the gate, I'm a liar, cheater, and a thief. Because I'm an alcoholic with untreated alcoholism. And my conduct was atrocious, sober, which after a couple of years here in Alcoholics Anonymous, I wanted to blow my brains out, sober, right? It talks about it prior to this, that, the alcoholic will make the supreme sacrifice. This is an area of my life that was unwilling to change out of fear. I was afraid that if I did this, I'd never have sex again, right? But it's talking in here about our future sex life. It promises us that, And what's the sane and sound ideal? Well, I don't know what that is because I suffer from mental illness. I cannot tell you that. My whole life has been the problem. I've had many, many relationships. Do you know how many of them have been successful? 0. Not one. Not one. Why? I have no idea what the hell I'm looking for in a relationship. I'm full of fear. I get involved in one. The minute I get involved in it, I'm looking for the exit. Or I'm involved in it and I'm staying in it. And what do I want to do? I want to look for the next thing. Maybe I can upgrade. The alcoholic, this alcoholic, always lowers his standards. Always. You know, and I think that, I'm Don Juan, you know, I'm God's gift. Oh, look at me. I don't pick the low-lying fruit on the tree. I pick the fruit off the ground. It's the easiest thing for me to do because that's where I am. See, water seeks its own level. Yeah, I'm a hell of a catch, ain't I? The lies I tell myself. So in here, we hear it around the house, well, the only steps that deal with alcohol is step 1. That's BS, because here it's telling us we are sure to drink. We are not theorizing this. These are facts. These are the facts, and that's the truth, because my options when I came to this point, and this is what got me here to Big Book, was my conduct in this area, not the sex acts. The conduct, the way that I conduct myself. All right? So what happens here is this. That day comes, and I want to drink. I've just been, broke up out of another relationship that I had no business being in. But you know what? I am the common denominator. I'm the one that chose it. So who do I hurt? Well, I hurt myself, I hurt the other people. I may hurt their family members, all right, because hurt people hurt people. So, she may go to work, all right, and, her world's just been crushed. Finds out that she's been used once again by another seedy alcoholic, And it doesn't matter whether I'm drinking or not. This is my behavior, my conduct. It's ingrained in me. It's the way that I think. So what happens is this. Now I got to get these this down on paper. So I'm answering these questions. All right. That. I'm not even sure if I want to change, right? And it's like half measures avail us nothing, 3/4 avails us nothing. And I'm willing to go through this because I'm in pain. Pain is the motivator, all right? But I'm not honest at that point. See, the only thing that I've got is I've got willingness. So what happens is this. Actually, we were fooling ourselves. This is something that God is deep down within me. So what's going on with me is I need to trust and rely upon God. Now, He's got a proven track record with me. I asked Him to remove the thought, the obsession, desire for a drink and a drug. He did it because I'm alcoholic. All right? He kept me sober. I asked Him to get me out of many scrapes. And, of course, I'm cutting deals. And, when we go in the relationships, this is no different than any other aspect of my life. I'm going to cut a deal with God. You give me this woman here, and I will become a shining star in sobriety. I will become, you will be very, very happy with me, God. What's the truth? My life is unmanageable. I'm mentally ill. And I never kept a promise in my entire life up to this point. So it says, we're human. We all have sex problems, so that means that I'm not unique. All right? Which kind of makes things a little bit easier for me to swallow this unpalatable pill. What can we do about them? Well, what can we do about them? I don't know. My answer in the past was you break up in the relationship, you find another one. You take another hostage. You lie, cheat, manipulate, and somewhere along the line, I'm bound to, to get in the right relationship. Mental illness, right? Because I'm not comfortable with myself. Okay? So what it is, I'm going to answer these questions. Where had I been selfish? What do I want? Dishonest? Inconsiderate? Oh, wow. Inconsiderate. I always consider myself first. Always. Imagine that. All right. But I'm going to tell you that I gave it some thought. Whom did we hurt? Did we unjustifiably arouse jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? Okay, so you get in an affair with a married person. It doesn't matter whether you're male, female. And I don't care whatever your sexual preference is, whether you're straight, gay, bi, whatever. That tells me in here earlier, that's none of my business. All right? That's between you and your higher power. What it is it's about my conduct in this way and how I'm treating people in my life. All right? So, have I ever aroused jealousy, suspicion, or bitterness? I'm answering these questions. Yeah. All right, well, how do I do that? Well, let's see. There was one. There are a few instances, we'll just say. All right? And I can't tell you how many. But I meet somebody and I need their help with getting a license back, let's just say. My license, my driver's license. So what do? I work on it, I flirt with them. I find out, what's going on in their life. And even though they're married, it's like, well, I'm in an unhappy relationship. There's the justification for me, the lie that I want to tell myself, that, okay, she's going to go through a divorce, so what I'm going to do is going to be okay. All right? Now, what ends up happening is the husband comes home. That incites, it's not a very good scene, jealousy, suspicion, bitterness. That relationship breaks up that she has with the husband. Now, what I do is after I get my driver's license back, I break up with her because now I don't need her anymore. That is what I wanted. I wanted my driver's license back. Now, so she gets a divorce. Now, how does that affect her family? Who does it hurt? There was a couple of children involved. Right? What about her parents? What about co-workers? How would that affect them when you're going in there and you're emotionally distraught? We're all God's children, remember that? We read that way back. Now, where were we at fault? What should we have done instead? Well, what should we have done instead? Well, we asked God for help. If I go to God with this situation, I might not get what I want. See? So I'm not going to trust and rely upon Him. I can do a better job at running my life at this point. All right? Now, so in there, what happens here is that I'm leaving God out. So obviously, if you're an alcoholic, what does that mean? I'm running the show. That means that there is going to be a big explosion. It's not going to end well. So we get this down on paper, and now in this way here, all right, I need to ask God for help in shaping a sane and sound ideal. So what that means is I got to ask God for help. And then for my future sex life. And then we subject each relations to this test. and we ask God, is it selfish or not? We ask Him, once again, this is a prayer, we ask God to mold our ideals and to help us live up to them. So, we're asking Him to help me mold my ideal. What is it that I'm looking for with soundness of mind, and to live up to it. Why? Because I'm an alcoholic. I am powerless. My life is unmanageable, so I need God's help. Nothing is possible for me. Left to my own devices. The writing has shown me all through that, and that, we remember that always that our sex powers are God-given and therefore good, never to be used lightly or selfishly, nor to be despised or loathed. I've been married a couple of times. So, sex, I viewed it as it was about me and what I want. Never caring what the other person wanted, what her needs were. As long as I am taken care of, all right, then all will be utopia. I am happy in my mind. See? And the truth is that I never felt comfortable afterwards. Always knowing that I wasn't with the right person. What were my motives behind it? Jealousy is the worst of human emotions. We see a lot of people get killed over jealousy. Men killing women, women killing men. Over jealousy. Jealousy. Where does jealousy come from? Sin is in the mind. Sounds like mental illness, maybe? Sounds like a defect of character. So in here, these prayers that we got are also used in step 6 because, see, what we're talking about here in the sex conduct is my defect of character. And we hear later on, which is next week, in 2 weeks from now, that, 6 and 7, there's only two paragraphs. They're so short, there isn't much about it. Step 6 and 7 is all through this book. All through this book where there are prayers. All right? How about this one here? Does it sound like that I might have a defect of character when I'm angry? God, please save me from being angry. That's a prayer in this book. Right? How about this one here? God, please remove my fear and direct my thinking to what you would have me be. These prayers are all before step 6. How about this one here? God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thy will. What is my basic problem? I am my problem. I want to play God. First thing it told me in here before we even got to any of this writing was, first and foremost, Chris, you must stop playing God. Sound like a defect of character? I think so. And when I'm left to my own devices, I'm that tornado that comes through and rips through and destroys people's lives, And I have no right to do that, to hurt my fellow God's children in the manner that I do. So, and I'm not perfect. I just, try to practice these principles in all my daily affairs. What's the first thought? Well, you got to remember, I got mental illness. If I'm going to sit up here and tell you, my first thought is of God. I'm a liar. I'm an alcoholic. I am self-centered to the extreme. So I practice this. The second thought may be that I go to God, or it might be the third thought. But eventually, I need to bring God into the picture, or I'm going to end up either drunk or dead. And I don't want to hurt people today. I really don't. It does not feel good. So I try to practice these principles in all my daily affairs. And it tells us if God, if sex is troublesome to us, what do? We go to God, we ask for help, and we throw ourselves into helping others all the harder. I must be in really deep problems with that, because God has sent a lot of men my way to keep me practicing these steps. So I'm in the special needs class, I hope that I've helped somebody today, and that I've done God's will. So, if you're here, these questions are very, very simple. Get a dictionary, read what the questions are asking, and just stick to it. And most of all, ask God for help if you're an alcoholic of my type, which means that I leave God out. I'm going to embellish, I'm going to minimize, I will rationalize, and I will not see the truth, left to my own devices. And the truth, I've been told, is what will set me free. And I do have that life that is second to none today. So, if you're here and you're not sure you're an alcoholic, don't worry about it. You are not going to catch it here. And if you don't want to recover, you don't have to worry about that. You won't. You got a thing called free will, which God will never, ever interfere with. And we hear people, well, it happens in God's time. No, it happens when I'm willing to go to God and ask for the help. That's when the help comes. Period. God does not interfere with my free will. See? He knows that I'll beat myself up and I will become willing all on my own. Thank you and God bless.